So the question is, how much should you have allocated to bonds? And this is an important question because if you put too much in it, you unnecessarily just absolutely slow the growth of your money. And if you don't put anything in it, then you might have a rude awakening when the market does correct. So let's jump into how much you should have and why it matters. Hey guys, this is RC Peck, and I want to talk to you about how much to have in bonds. And this matters whether you're 70, 60, 50, 40, because if you get the amount wrong, it can really hurt you. So there's 3 points I want to make in this video. A, determine how much. B, you're going to look at this in a very different way, different than, say, the financial advising world is going to want you to look, because they're going to have you look in a very specific way, and I want you to think about it differently. And then the third point that's going to really help you understand if you should even be in bonds. And this, again, will help you whether you're 50, 60, 70, or 30. So it matters because it's going to teach you and kind of show you how to think differently, betterly. I know betterly is not a word, but it really should be about how to grow your money. So let's get into this. Okay, so the first thing is, do you even need to be in bonds, right? So the question I want you to ask yourself is, of the money in your portfolio, how much of it do you absolutely need right now to be guaranteed to be there when the market goes sideways, right? So, and I use the word guaranteed, and that has to have the word quotes around it. So let's just think of bonds right now as a kind of a more gentle, slower, more consistent, less volatile way to have your money in the market, right? No one gets excited about bonds, but how much of your portfolio do you have to have there? And if you're 50 and you're going to work until you're 65, you don't need any bonds because you don't need any of it to be guaranteed to be there, right? You will be able to say, hey, I'm going to work for 15 years. I don't have to have 10% or 20% or 30% of my money to be guaranteed to not get hurt, right? Because if you have 15 more years of active earning, of active income, then you can afford to just be in equities. You don't need to be in bonds. And I really want you to hear that because if you have a big box advisor, they're gonna be like, you're 50, you need 30% in bonds. They're gonna have some formula that their back office, built. But you really want to think about how much you need to guarantee to be there now. Now, the thing I want to tell you with this answer is every huge, crazy market crash, and let's just look at the last 50 years. And let's think of market crashes in time. So the COVID crash lasted 30 days and then started going up. The global financial crisis crash, that was 08, 09, that fell for 18 months. And then the dot-com crash, that fell for 30 months. And the one everyone forgets about is the one in 1974, which fell for 18 months. So think about this. When the markets crashed, let's just use that word, over the last 50 plus years, it didn't fall for more than 30 months, not even 36 months. So the first thing you really want to think about with this guaranteed money is if the market crashes, let's just call that cut in half for easy math. Would it actually affect you over that 3-year period? I don't mean emotionally, and I'm rounding up now to 36 months, but really we want to start thinking about how much we need in these shorter periods of time. So again, if you have 15 more years of active earning, you don't want to have anything else in bonds unless that little extra amount in bonds makes you sleep well at night. Really just like, okay, then go ahead and put 10 or 20% in. But as far as a math point of view, if you don't need to have the money there right now, I'm still talking about point number 1, then the answer is you don't need any money in bonds. So first question is how much do you need guaranteed to be there? And if you're working active earning more than 15 years, the answer is 0. Okay, now let's step down from number 2. How to determine how much you should have in bonds. And the bonds are the keep it safe money. So about a minute ago, I just said the worst correction in time was 30 months, right? That was the dot-com. That's not even 3 years, which is 36 months. So the way to do this is you say, okay, how much do you need from this money? Let's say you have $1 million in the portfolio and you're 70 years old. You say, oh, I need $50,000 a year from the portfolio. Okay, well, $50,000 a year times 3 is $150,000. So in that $1 million portfolio, you would have 15% in bonds because you just said you only need 3 years of guaranteed that 50,000 a year if you didn't want to touch the equity. So in that case, even if you're 70, you'd only have 15% of your money in bonds because you just said, hey, I have to have that 50,000 to pull from that $1 million portfolio a year. So you want to think about like how many years you'd need the 50,000 in this case, right? Which that is 5%. And typically asking your portfolio 4 to 5% is really all you really want to ask for it. And so that answer in this scenario would be 15%. Now, if you needed to pull 100,000 a year, okay, from that $1 million portfolio, you're going to be demanding a lot more from that portfolio. So you'd want to have 30% in bonds. But I want you to think of how much in bonds and not those silly risk tolerance questions, but think more of, okay, I'm 70. I need 3 years to always be there. The biggest crash in the last 50 years was 30 months. I'm protecting 36 months by putting it into bonds. That's absolutely going to take care of you. So that would have you 30% in bonds and 70% in equity, which would be a lot less than what your big box advisor would want you in, which is probably 50 bond, 50 stock, or maybe even 60 bond, 40 stock. So asking yourself what you need from the portfolio is a better way of figuring out how much to have in bonds. So that is point number 2. Now here's the third point, and let's set age aside. If you have all of your money in stocks, and let's just stick with the $1 million portfolio. Maybe you have 5 million, maybe you have 500,000. But if you had everything in stocks, even if you were 70 or 80, because remember, most of this money for most people, you're growing it for your kids, right? You're growing it for your trustees, which are typically your kids, your beneficiaries, which is typically your spouse or your kids. So the question is, do you need anything in bonds, right? Do you even need this money? I have a client who came to me and he got $1 million from his mom. And the question was, do I even need to have any of this in bonds? Because he was in his 70s. And so we looked at his portfolio and he was okay to have it all in stocks, right? And we went through the scenarios like, okay, what if the market got cut in half and your $1 million went to 500,000 over 30 months? And then from the 31st month going forward, it was starting to grow again. It goes, oh, I'm building this for my 2 daughters. I can handle it getting hurt. Now, I'm not suggesting that taking a 50% cut is what you should do. If you've been in my world for a while, you know that I believe in stepping out when the market moves against you. There's some nuance to it, but the idea is stop looking at your age so much and start asking yourself really what you need from that money and can you live with having all of it in stocks in a powerfully simple way. So wrapping that up, really looking, and the big theme of this is really less about your age and more about what is actually needed from that portfolio. Thanks, guys. If you like this video, please go ahead and like it and share it on YouTube because it makes a difference. And let me know where I'm right. Let me know where I'm wrong. What did I miss? What is a nuance that you think is actually not that nuanced and is common across everyone who's looking at this allocation? And if you like this video, you'll love my Clarity and Control, truly a free course. Just check it out in the description and you can learn more. All right, guys, thanks so much. And I'll see you on the next video. Okay, bye.